Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. We should see a lot more gameplay area coming this year with Star Citizen, with the object container streaming being utilised, enabling the expansion of the Stanton System throughout 2018, potentially having all the major bodies by the end of the year. With that in mind, I thought we should define what we expect from the Stanton System, what's supposed to be there, what we have now, and talk a little bit about the lore, but mainly about how that applies to the gameplay area. The current system and gameplay area as of Alpha 3.0 is that the entire game is set around Stanton 2, Crusader, a gas giant, and its moons, Selin, Yela, and Daymar, as well as the foreign planetoid, which is not supposed to be in the system, Delamar, which is, big asteroid, and that is going to get moved to the Nick system in due course. There are various other points of interest, including Cry Astro services, allowing you to stock up on gear and replenish your ammo and fuel and repair, Security Post Korea, Gundo Kovalex shipping hub, Grimhex, which is more of a little base for outlaw players to be, not just pirates, but outlaws in general, and comm relays, which detect when crimes are happening in an area or when naughty things are happening, and you can turn them on and off. So outlaws would want to turn them off so they can do crimes and they can do piracy and that sort of stuff without being detected, without security turning up. Now, this gameplay area is less than a quarter of the full system, but Stanton has been chosen as the first system that will be fully fleshed out by CIG for Star Citizen, as it gives a vertical slice of the persistent universe, with gameplay for outlaws, pirates, UEE citizens, private and lawful players alike, as well as various biomes, populated areas, juxtaposed with huge open areas that can be used for land claiming, surveying, and mining bases to be built. So what's in the full Stanton system? We've got 4 planets, all within the green zone of the star, making them all habitable, and they're all super Earth planets as well, except for Crusader, which is that gas giant, although even that has a breathable atmosphere. The system also has 12 non-habitable moons, and it has jump point connections to 3 other systems, Terra, Magnus, and Pyro. No more jump points might become available in the future, but the fact it's connected to places like Terra, which will probably be a major starting zone and one of the major hubs in the game, is quite important because this is obviously proximate to that. Let's have a look at some of the planets and their nearby bodies in a bit more detail. Stanton 1 is Hurston. We saw this at CitizenCon's 2017 presentation. We just saw like a little bit of it. We saw some of the wave simulation. The planet is owned by Hurston Dynamics, a long-time old money weapons manufacturer. The ecosystem of the planet has been all but destroyed by pollution, weapons testing, strip mining, though the planet is still habitable. They control their workers with an iron fist, with living conditions for workers that are barely legal under UEE law. However, the executives there enjoy gated communities and luxuries. There is a big cultural and class financial divide there. The only major landing zone we are aware of is Lawville, which is the only import landing zone on the planet. It has Central, which is Hurston Dynamics headquarters, and overlooks some nearby strip mining operations in that area. We know the planet's going to have large bodies of water on the surface too, but there are also 4 moons of Hurston, all named after CEOs and employees of the company: Ariel, Aberdeen, Magda, and Eta. Stanton 2 is Crusader, owned by Crusader Industries, who make, among other things, starliners and large ships. The planet itself is a low-mass gas giant. The air is breathable in high atmosphere. So Crusader make these huge starliners and large ships, and they can start production in this atmosphere of this low-gravity gas giant and then move them to orbit easily, so it's perfect for their needs. There are lattice works of cities and factories floating in the high atmosphere. The major landing zone is also one of these and called Orison, and it offers breathtaking views of Crusader's shipbuilding platforms. So Crusader makes money from tourism as well as being a social hub. The company Crusader Industries treats its employees very well when compared to some of the other companies. However, Crusader has crime issues with an outlaw pack known as the Ninetails who have moved into the area relatively recently. There's also 3 moons there that we know very well, Selin, which is pretty much a no or low atmosphere grey rocky volcanic little moon, Daymar, which is Mars-like, Yella, which is more water and icy, and they're all named after an in-law story, A Gift for Baba. Stanton 3, or Arccorp, again, this was actually shown in 2017's CitizenCon with a procedural cities demo. This is owned by Arccorp, who are a conglomerated mega corporation. They basically absorb other smaller companies and other great ideas and other companies that are failing or whatever, or interests that they have with them. They merge them into themselves, and they're known for fusion engines, terraforming, mining, and lots more. The actual planet is a super Earth again, but it's a city planet, literally covered in a mega city, and it's massive, like, business and production park. This planet is kind of the gold standard for Star Citizen's procedural city tech. It has a cyberpunk, Blade Runner-esque feel, and Arccorp's Area 18 is one of the major landing zones there that we know about, and in fact was the social module. That's what it was based on. It's a trade port and shopping area. It also has 2 moons, Lyria, which is an icy moon, which features active crygeysers and cryovolcanoes, and Walla, a moon with low density that is particularly susceptible to tidal forces. Stanton 4 is Microtech, just on the edge of the green zone. Microtech make the Moby-glass, and there was a terraforming accident on Microtech which caused unnaturally dense clouds, which further dropped the temperature. So the planet is large, but it's very icy, and they wanted to create a tech haven there for think tanks and for lots of companies and computers and electronics kind of manufacturers there as well, because the cold temperatures help with that sort of like cooling of those products. The area around is quite isolated, as due to the temperatures, domes and enclosures have to be lived in to keep warm. New Babbage is the major landing zone that we know there. It's kind of the social and economic hub of the planet. It houses Microtech's flagship store, but it's also a haven for smaller tech companies too. It has 3 moons, Calliope, Clio, and Euterpe, all named after Greek muses. So some other points of interest and notes. So the system in 3.0 currently has Grimhex, Portal Security Post Korea, but they're going to evolve too, and there's going to be many more similar stations throughout the system as we go forward. The system was concepted in 2012, Stanton, and the star map actually got moved around in 2014, and Stanton was in a different place until then. Stanton System is technically a UEE system, but it is controlled by private corporations who make up its security forces. All of those planets have technically their own security force, which helps patrol the system. So it's quite an interesting mix match of mercenaries and private security and those mega corporations' security all stuck together. In lore, the system was actually discovered by Toshi Aaron in 2903, though it appears a group of settlers had already secretly known about the system and started to move in before the UEE even knew it was there, although they didn't have any rights once Toshi Aaron basically sold the rights to the UEE and then moved in. Project Archangel, otherwise known as the Synth World, was bankrupting the UEE though, causing them to have to sell assets to not go under, to not go bankrupt. So they sold Stanton to those corporations, and those corporations had to maintain and develop those worlds, but turned them into money-generating powerhouses and business interests. There is a large asteroid belt between Crusader and Arccorp as well, called the Aaron Halo. Dotted around all of the moons and planets, you will have these outposts and farms and hydro farms and mining facilities, much more than we already have in 3.0. These will keep on expanding and changing and being developed upon, and as their modular system kind of gets more diversity and pieces into it, and the mission system gets more things that you can do with it, expect these outposts to change relatively significantly in the density of them, as well as how they're placed, what they can look like, and that sort of stuff as well. And obviously we'll be able to build outposts in a similar style pretty soon as well. These planets still adhere to the UEE common laws. In law, these cover like safety practices, freedoms, products, health services, education, trade, travel and security. However, these planets are not represented at the Senate though. Now we're not really sure what that would mean in terms of gameplay. However, to do with the common laws, it means that it is still a UEE system and it's still under all of the laws and freedoms that the UEE provide there. So land claims and that sort of thing should still work, but would have to be honoured by private security forces maybe. It's an interesting system because it's UEE, but it's sort of also private. The system is perfect for both outlaws and lawful players alike, the idea being that there is a good private NPC security force, but also hidden NPC pirate bases, and players that are pirates and outlaws can tuck away in the edge of the system and kind of have their own little safe havens away from the UEE. It's not a safe system for people by any means, but it's not zero sec. It's still going to be protected in some way. And because of that, you may be able to turn a better profit from various activities in there in the future, as you'll be able to exploit the fact that there's a higher risk reward. It's likely that the Arccorp planet and Hurston will be the first 2 planets that we have access to, but it's very possible that the full Stanton system, at least in rough, will be coming entirely live in 2018. In regards to other points of interest, Delamar, the Levski planetoid, will be moved to the Nyx system at some point. But we will be getting modular space stations that we've seen partially, replacing a large amount of the Cryastro services, as well as updating stations like Port Olisar. Expect many new commodities, many more of these modular trade stations, trade routes, lots more missions and opportunities to clear out large pirate bases, as well as salvage and scavenging stuff, mining. All of those mechanics can basically be done here. Also, this will be the system where we first test out land claims, surveying, and base building, hopefully coming by Alpha 3.0 in September. That's something I'm very excited about, the actual expansion of the Stanton system, and Object Container Streaming is coming with 3.3, well, at least it's planned to, in September. That will allow them to hopefully get a planet or 2 in by that time, and as we go into 3.4, which will be at the end of December, hopefully they will have that full system fleshed out. They're going to keep on expanding, they're going to keep on adding to the modular tech, they're going to keep on improving the planets and moons and the procedural landing tech and everything. 3.1 is going to be much more heavily into getting more flesh on the bones of the systems that we already have, making sure the star map works as intended, getting persistence in for reputation and for logging in and out where you are. You don't want to crash and then your ship to log out mysteriously so that you have to reclaim it and you lose all your cargo and that sort of stuff. You want to be able to log back in and you actually be there where you logged out if you logged out quickly, whatever. So that form of persistence, the changes and cargo and money and reputation persistence, the ability to do missions, that is all really important for 3.1 so that we can actually have the gameplay to go with these planets, hopefully by the end of this year. Every month we have a giveaway for a ship. For January, it's a Hammerhead gunboat donated by our featured org, IDF, the Intergalactic Defence Force. They are a lawful org that will be focusing on trade, security, escorting, and teamwork, but will also dabble in kind of all the other little bits of areas of the game. Links below if you're interested in checking them out. They are active in 3.0. All you need to do, however, to be in for a chance of winning that Hammerhead is be subscribed to my YouTube channel and then comment on any of my Star Citizen content during the month. Do you have any questions about Star Citizen or Squadron 42's development, or about the Stanton system, about the play area, about the roadmap? And please, if you haven't checked out my video on 2018's rough roadmap, check that out, because that will give you a lot more context of what we were just talking about. Chuck in any questions down below in the comments. A special thank you to my Patreons who allow me to create the amount of content I do. If you're interested in becoming one of them, you can find links to Patreon, as well as everything else we've discussed down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me, and I'll see you in the verse.